the great arsenal of democracy. For us, this is an emergency as serious as war itself. We must apply ourselves to our task with the same resolution, the same sense of urgency, the same spirit of patriotism and sacrifice as we would show were we at war.
The following year after President Roosevelt's fireside chat, the Japanese Imperial Naval and Air Forces launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. Immediately following the attack, many Americans answered the call to arms. Our nation had been attacked, our brave sons and daughters had been killed, and our faith tested. Hundreds of thousands of Americans signed up to fight in the first months following the Japanese attack. By war's end in 1945, over 16 million Americans had served in uniform. Of those 16 million, Pharmacist Mate Second Class Morris H. Holloway was one of those men who rushed to the call. He had just barely turned 18 years old.
They preached to us patriotism, you know. They preached that to us, you know, at school and everywhere on the radios about being patriotic and this, that, and the other. I actually didn't know what they meant. But I found out what they meant. No, not really. Not in them days. It got rougher, you know, as the time went on. You know, later in the years, it just like everything else got rougher. I nursed, took care of officers, Navy officers. I even took, you know, admirals and such like, you know. I went to a hospital for some training. And I was at that hospital for, I don't know how many months, not very long, but and from my boot camp, from the Corps school. Oh, it's quite a change. The food was better and everything. They fed us pretty good when I was a corpsman.
So they took care of y'all pretty well then?
Yeah, as a corpsman, yes.
Okay.
The food was good. That was the main thing. When I went in, they was getting very desperate for corpsmen. That's the reason I was made a corpsman. Not my particular choice, but they said we need corpsmen at Guadalcanal right now.
So they pretty much said, "Hey, here's your job. Welcome to the Navy.
You're a corpsman," and I didn't know what in the devil what they were talking about. I might have a picture of the usual chief petty officer. He was our company commander, and he's the one that, you know, taught us.
This feeling of,
Well, actually, you know, in school, I didn't make very good grades in school. I never got past the 9th grade in school. And when I got in the Navy boot camp or the Corps school, I was afraid I might not be make a grade. But actually, I made pretty good grades. Well, of my job that applied to my job, I never did. But I had to work in a receiving ship for a while, where they were putting guys on ships going overseas, and I worked there for a while, just a little while, and then they put me on a, if you want to call it a ship, it's a garbage scow is about what it amounted to, and went overseas. From there, I went to San Diego. New Caledonia, 12,000 miles from home, about there. And my mom wasn't right through. I wasn't allowed to tell where I was at. Wasn't allowed to say nothing about where I was at. I just told him, I said, I'm just as far from home as I can get. I'll get in your fur, I'll be coming back. No, most of the guys on there got seasick, on this garbage scour, as I called it. It was manned by merchant marines. And the merchant marines didn't care nothing about Navy. They fed us, barely fed us. And the time we got there, we was all seasick. I wasn't sick, but most of the guys were sick at New Caledonia. Took us about 2 days to get over that. New Caledonia was actually a part of New Zealand, Australia. They were using, the Navy the military was using New Caledonia as like a modern day, what do they call them hospitals now, where they, MASH hospital. Oh yes, I saw it all, but I wasn't in it. We operated real close to the big guns, to battleships, pretty close to them. Every time they'd blast off, you could feel it. Well, the first thing I had to do was help them I hadn't been on there over a month or two. I had to help, I had to help do what do you call it?
Autopsy.
Yeah.
So they broke you in pretty quick.
Really quick. That's about the first thing I remembered, and it shook me up pretty good,
How old were you when you were doing that?
18.
So you didn't have a lot of life experiences to prepare you for that, did you?
Yeah, well, right after Guadalcanal, we went to New Zealand, and we had liberty in New Zealand, and you ain't never had liberty till you've been in New Zealand, because it was a fun place to be. Them people treated us royally, just like we were royalty almost.
Was it like being at home when you were over there?
Yeah, they spoke English, and they fed us good. I mean, they had steak, Yeah, they fed us really good. New Zealanders did, because they knew the next step for them, if we wasn't there with them, are the Marines. The Marines was there. I say we. I'm talking about Navy, Army, and Marines. We were there waiting for the Japanese. Because we knew the Japanese were headed right towards New Zealand.
And y'all were the last line of defense, I'm sure.
That's right. And they knew that if we didn't protect them, they wasn't going to get protected. I was actually witness, or was a part of every campaign we were in, from Guadalcanal all the way to Okinawa. This was the first really battle that we was with Japan, that they knew that it wasn't long. They knew they were beat. And they told their people, hell is upon us. They knew they were beaten. And it was it was rough going. Ain't no two ways about it. And was at Saipan where a lot of the civilians was jumping off of caves, off the cliffs, with babies in their arms, because their government had brainwashed them to the point the Americans was nothing but savages. And they just jumping off that cliff with them little babies in their arms. And of course, our ship was cruising along on how far out. We could see them doing it, but wasn't up close enough to identify nobody. And they just keep it jumping.
That on your ship.
You're
Once
right.
You made it ashore.
You could see it all go on, every bit of it, but you just wasn't in it. The Marines done all the fighting. We done all the picking up the dirt, taking care of the wounded, and that was a job within itself.
So what was the atmosphere? I don't want to say atmosphere. What was the environment like? The smells, the noise.
Yeah, well, you smell the shells, naturally, the gunfire, and a concussion. And we was right close to a ship that got the whole front end blowed off of it. And every officer on it was killed.
Do you recall what ship that was?
No, I don't. I don't remember what the name of that ship was, but it was a battleship. And it blowed, this Jap come in on us. We could see it coming. And he was trying to dodge, because every ship on the harbor was letting loose on him, but cut loose on him. And he tried to dodge them guns, and he couldn't. Finally, he just dove into that battleship and blew the whole front off of it. It'd been Saipan was a part of Japanese soil.
Okay.
The first island we hit that was actual Japanese itself. It's like Okinawa and Iwo. Of course, we took Iwo later. And they tried to protect them poor men. I mean, they'd make you lay down or sit down and get the hell out of the way, because they knew if you got killed, they didn't have nobody to take care of them. I don't think they knew or cared anything about rules of war. That was Japanese for them. That always impressed us, the difference in us and the Germans. My brother was a 3rd Division sergeant in the 3rd Division, one of the roughest divisions that fought in Germany. You're just completely different to what my brother used to talk about.
So was it the Germans kind of respected more the rules?
Oh, the rules of war, they did. My brother said that, yeah. He said, well, we'd be out there in the field picking up wounded at the same time. And I said, well, you didn't do no such stuff around the Germans, but the Japanese. Well, he wasn't with Audie Murphy, but he was in the same outfit Murphy, and he was there when Murphy was awarded the Congressional Medal. Oh yeah, we sent letters. As long as we were heavily censored.
So they opened your mail. And they
Oh
read it
yes,
and blacked out
yes.
stuff.
If you write the wrong thing, they'd cut it out, boy.
So I mean, how many letters did you write every day? Did you write one every day, or
No. Maybe, I write Mama once a month at least. I try to write my mother once a month. I'd draw pictures like that on my letters, and boy, people would write me a letter that shows the world. Yeah, I'd draw cartoons like that on there, on all my letters, and they'd what kind of picture you going to draw next time? Oh, occasionally it would be. Once in a while, be something that I have no idea what they blacked out.
Did you get in any trouble for it? Or
No, but if you insisted on doing it, you got in trouble. You bet your life you did. You'd be up for a court martial if you kept doing it.
You were on
Oh yes, it's very big.
pretty decent decent-sized ship there for beds. Chicken a la king and strawberry ice cream, is that what was on the menu pretty frequently?
When they had time to mess with it, you know, when we did it pretty quietly when we give it serve food like that. Wasn't much action going on. But we never suffered for food. Some of it you might not particularly like, but we never suffered for food ever, that I remember. But now on these battleships and things like that, and these little destroyers, they'd darn near run out of food.
Wow.
And they just allowed to feed them most anything till they get, you know, where they could get, you know, where they.
Get some more supplies?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be pretty rough.
And I worked in the operating room for a little while, and that's very stressful to work in an where they're operating.
You had an experience with some amputees at one time? What was that like?
Well, he was he lived at Williford. His sergeant, what's his name? I forget names. Carmack Henry was a sergeant, Marine sergeant, got his leg blowed off on Guadalcanal. And we was one of the first to pick him up. You know. And he's a great big stout Marine, you know, and here I was a corpsman. And I had to take care of him, you know, 24 hours a day.
So that was pretty stressful, I would say.
Yes. Because he'd hollering, you know, a big man, and you wouldn't think a Marine to ever cry. But boy, he would. Right. I bet I guess I got gallons of morphine. Well, no, that's an exaggeration, but.
But I'm sure over all that time it probably added.
I give a lot of morphine. 32 months, I guess.
32.
He got a Bronze Star,
So,
and he never was hurt. He never got a scratch.
So he was one of the few, and I'm sure
Very
lucky
few,
ones
yes.
that didn't even.
Never got a scratch all the time he was in.
So you and your brother fared pretty well in the whole entire.
We
conflict.
sure did. We were very lucky. All different ways. We had a PA system, you know, on the ship, and they'd play rock and roll, not rock and roll. We never heard of it then. Swing music, you know, Glenn Miller and all them guys. Yes. Till they run us off.
Ever have any military police come in and break you up a little bit? To get
No,
you back?
they were pretty well on our side.
That's good. So y'all got a little wild, but not too wild, right?
Right. Oh yeah. We had MPs all up every corner.
So you couldn't show out then.
Shore Patrol, that's Navy, and MPs, and they carried a big club. Well, they sang and, you know, have choirs, and
Okay.
we had a little band, pretty good band. In fact, I got some pictures somewhere of the band members. I had a buddy that was a good gambler, and he brought back $40,000 on his money belt. He wasn't allowed to bring it home. He wasn't even allowed to have it, but he brought back 40. He was a good gambler.
$40,000.
Oh, that was like that was a lot of money back in them days. Of course, there wasn't nowhere to spend it, so there you go. I brought back about 5,000 or 6,000 that I'd saved up over the time because I didn't spend it nowhere. I didn't smoke very little, and the cigarettes was free. You know,
So you didn't really have to.
you didn't spend no money for nothing. And I had about 5,000 on me when I got my leave, and he had a whole party of money, and me and him spent their last night together. And I knew he had just 40,000 on him, but I've thought about that many times. He was really taking a chance on me and being honest, wasn't he? Harold Lloyd James. We call him Jesse James, you know.
Do you remember where he was from at all?
Yeah, he was from Frisco, San Francisco. He played a harmonica, and he was very good at it.
So I'm sure he kept you entertained while you were over there.
Oh, yeah. That was the last picture that was made in Sunflower, Kansas, while I was home on leave. My mother and dad worked at Sunflower, Kansas in the ordnance plant.
Wow. And I'd seen earlier that your mom and dad both had worked out there. There was an explosion that happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Fire. There was a fire in her department where she worked, and she was burnt down one side and in her face.
I mean, she did luckily survive though, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He drove what he called a Jeep. You know, he was just a handyman, you might say. They both in their 50s. And he's 53 or 4. And he drove what they call them Jeeps. And he just go from place to place doing whatever is handy. Cleghorn, you ever know him? You ever know her? I bet she knows him, or I bet you remember.
Glenn Cleghorn?
You remember Cleghorns, don't you?
Yeah, I was in the Guards with Glenn Griggle after I got out of the Air Force.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's him right there.
So was this a buddy of yours?
Huh?
Was
Oh
this a
yeah,
buddy
me and him. It's strange how we got together and stayed together. We joined the Navy the same day, went to boot camp the same day. He got measles while we were in boot camp, and was hospitalized for I don't know a month or two. And then after he got off and I got on the ship, I had about 3 or 4 months later, he was going to come on the ship, and there he was. It followed me around everywhere I went. And then when I went to work for General Electric, looked down there one day, and there's Cleghorn. He followed me everywhere I went. That's me taking care of a gyrene. Marine. Well, he was hit. You can see there where he was hit there and went right towards his lung, and that's he's under oxygen tent. That's about the only way they had feeding you oxygen back in them days. Now they do it with a mask and everything. Just a young kid. I mean, he was young.
So how old were you in that picture?
About 18.
You were 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. That's my brother.
This is your brother, the one that was in Europe?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of Thompson machine guns there?
Mm-hmm.
So, were y'all discharged around the same time out of the service? Or did you
Yeah.
stay in, or did you stay in?
Well, of course, I had to stay in until I got my time in. But he got discharged pretty quick because he was a draftee.
So did he re-enlisted any at the time? Or did
Oh, he could have, but he didn't want no part of it.
I can completely understand. I'm sure that you both saw your fair share.
I suggested, won't you stay in the Army? He said, the hell with that. No way you're going to stay in the Army. That's my brother and his buddy in Germany, and the war's still going on. See them rifles?
Yeah.
They weren't, you know, the peace had done been declared, and they were still right in the middle of a fighting. Well, I had respect for the officers. I was under doctors mostly. Hardly ever I was under a line officer. You know, a line officer, he's not has nothing to do with a doctor. He's a doctor. Some of them were very good. In fact, our chief surgeon, our surgeon on there, had been the chief surgeon at Mayo Clinic at one time. And I worked with and under him for a while. It didn't about very long, but I didn't have much training with the surgeon. You wasn't allowed to.
Oh, wow. So you were not able to keep any kind of notes? Why was that? Why didn't they allow you to keep?
Censorship. You can't imagine. We don't know nothing about censorship around, you know, anymore. But back then, you were under strict censorship. You were not allowed to write certain letters at home and say certain things.
And why was that?
Well, you could tell something about what you were doing. You know, you were a corpsman, and that just about said it all.
I mean, was there a particular reason why they censored a lot of your communication?
Well, they didn't know what. Maybe the Japanese would pick them up and use them for propaganda or whatever.
Or try to intercept maybe locations?
Yeah, you know, that was just the way it was. I was over at Memphis. They sent me right direct from the leave to Memphis. You know, and I stayed over at Memphis from, I think it was January the 1st of that year. I forget what year it was. Anyhow, they sent me right to Memphis, and I stayed there till I got discharged. I liked Memphis. We had a lot of good entertainment in Memphis, and you know, and it wasn't hard duty at all. I farmed. Well, helped my dad farm. I still did. Still had to farm until I sold it and went to come out here.
So what kind of farming did you do? Was it mainly crops?
Cotton.
Cotton. So
That's all they know anything about back then, cotton. And, you know, and corn, feed crops. And that's all we knew anything about was cotton and feed crop, corn and hay. I went to GI farm school, and the government paid me so much a month to go to that school, which I did. Not very much, very few. I wrote maybe one or two. One of them was named Gabe Prigmore. He was from Missouri. He was quite a bit younger than me, and we kept contact until a few years ago. And I don't know, I hadn't heard from him now in a long time. Yeah, I belong to American Legion and a VFW.
Here in Jonesboro?
Yeah. The post is right out here by the airport. Well, you know where the airport is here?
On Airport Road?
That's where the VFW post is. And American Legion, it's downtown here somewhere. I think it's been moved since then. Well, I know what you have to do. You do have to do. You know, that's why I've looked at it, the war. After all, they did attack us. We didn't attack them. They attacked us. And we don't just sit there and wait till they, you know, get rid of you. You get busy and try to stop them. And that's what we did.
Try to prevent it from happening again, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went once or twice to where in Las Vegas. We did one in Las Vegas, a reunion, and that's quite a, they treat us pretty good. The best treatment they've done is the government, the state. I mean not the state. The Bank of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, sent a whole busload of World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. for the new, we got a new monument there, what you want to call it. It's not a monument. It covers a place big as this whole field here. And they let us go up there and fed us, and it was all paid for with the Poplar Bluff Bank. I've never been any better treated than I was there. They fed us, and girls would walk up to us and hug us, And I was already old then, that's just been a couple of years ago. Just for him, he'd be marching out there, and we knew he was a movie star, and we knew that he didn't have to stay in that boot camp no time, and he didn't. He became a lieutenant commander, Mine was 687, and Fonda was in 688. Well, we would go to chow together, marching, and going to chow. Two companies of people marching down through there, going to chow. I knew he was a movie star, and that's about all I knew. And they said, well, there's other guys here, but I don't remember who he was. Seemed to be like Mickey Rooney was in that outfit. I don't know.
Was Don Rickles, was he in any?
I don't remember the name. No, that's, as an officer, that's really all the training, military training he had was what he got in boot camp. And then as soon as he got out, why, they made an officer out of him. And he wasn't the only one that done that. Some other movie star about like him that made an officer right quick. Seemed to be like Jimmy Stewart was an officer. Only he was a Air Force. And I think he was even piloted to the plane in combat yet. They were Hollywood, but they weren't Hollywood. He was right up there, and Clark Gable was a bombardier on one of them big planes.